Recently, there's been a lot of hype surrounding this season and what is to come, and this has led to the discussion of whether this could be the greatest season in NBA history. However, before we look at what is to come, we should look back and examine some of the best seasons in recent times. The first season that comes to mind when we think of the best seasons in NBA history is the 1995-96 season. The season started off with the NBA introducing its first Canadian teams into the league, the Vancouver Grizzlies and the Toronto Raptors, becoming the 28th and 29th franchises in the NBA. As well as this, Pat Riley was hired as the head coach and president of basketball operations of the Miami Heat. As his first moves of his tenure, he traded for both Alonzo Mourning and Tim Hardaway and turned the Heat into a playoff team. This draft class also introduced Hall of Famer Kevin Garnett, as well as All-Stars Michael Finley, Rasheed Wallace, and Jerry Stackhouse into the league. In addition to this, Hall of Famer Magic Johnson came out of retirement and played 32 games for the Los Angeles Lakers. The Boston Celtics also moved to the Fleet Center in this year, which is now known as the TD Garden, one of the most iconic stadiums in the NBA. At the end of the season, the Chicago Bulls ended with an NBA record of 72 wins in the season. As well as this, Michael Jordan broke Wilt Chamberlain's scoring title record by winning his 8th. More records were broken, with Hakeem passing Kareem as the all-time leading blocks, and John Stockton passing Magic Johnson as the all-time assist leader, and Maurice Cheeks as the all-time steals leader. En route to the first championship of their second repeat, the Bulls only lost 3 games in their playoff run, which included facing the 64-18 Supersonics in the final. In this season, Michael Jordan also became the first player to win 4 Finals MVPs, and became the second person ever to win an MVP, All-Star MVP, and Finals MVP in the same season. The second season that is discussed when we think of the greatest seasons ever is the 2007-2008 season. Before the NBA started, a couple of teams relocated to different cities. In the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, the Hornets moved to New Orleans and the Seattle Supersonics moved to Oklahoma City. After 12 seasons with the Minnesota Timberwolves, Kevin Garnett was traded to the Boston Celtics to form the Big Three. This trade involves 7 players being traded to Minnesota, most notably Al Jefferson, which is the single largest trade for a player in NBA history. There were also 2 first-round picks which turned into Stephen Curry and Wayne Ellington. Oh wait. During this season, Kobe Bryant passed Wilt Chamberlain as the youngest player to reach 20,000 points at just 29 years old. Halfway through the season, the Lakers also traded for Pau Gasol by moving Kwame Brown, among others, and the draft rights to his brother, Marc Gasol, to the Grizzlies. Houston also won 22 straight games and owned the 4th longest winning streak ever. This year, the Western Conference was historically strong, as the 48-34 Warriors entirely missed the playoffs, becoming the team with the best win percentage to miss the playoffs ever. Kobe Bryant also won his only MVP for his career this year, averaging 28, 6, and 5. In the finals, Kobe and Pau Gasol played against the Boston Big Three, but eventually lost in 6 games. After the Heat only won 15 games, Pat Riley stepped down as their coach and was replaced by 3-time NBA champion Erik Spoelstra. The final season that is discussed as one of the greatest ever is the 2015-16 season, an especially historic season for many teams. Towards the start of the season, the Spurs trio of Duncan, Parker, and Ginobili won their 541st win together and passed the all-time record set by Bird, Parrish, and McHale. Duncan also scored his 26,000th point during that game. LeBron James also became the youngest player to score 25,000 points. But one of the more notable accomplishments this year was the Warriors' start to the season, where they eclipsed the Lakers' previous record of 16 wins as they started off the season 24-0. More records were broken when the Atlanta Hawks were the first team to go 17-0 in a month, and for the first time ever, the entire starting lineup were named Eastern Conference Player of the Month. Kobe also joined Kareem and Karl Malone as the only players to score 33,000 points up to that date. On the final night of the NBA regular season, Kobe Bryant scored 60 points in his final game and beat the Utah Jazz, as well as becoming the oldest player to score 60 in a game. On the same night, the Golden State Warriors beat the Memphis Grizzlies to win their 73rd game and beat the Bulls record. During that game, Stephen Curry also hit 10 3-pointers to reach 402 3-pointers in a season, eclipsing his previous record of 286. Curry broke more records that season and became the first person ever to average 30 points and shoot 50, 40, 90 throughout the season, and is the only person to ever be a unanimous MVP. At the end of the season, there were 18 teams that had a win percentage of 500 or over, and the Spurs finished with the highest win percentage of a second seed ever. However, even with all of these records having been broken, there were more to fall, as having just come back from a 3-1 deficit against the Thunder in the Western Conference Finals, the Warriors proceeded to blow a 3-1 lead to the Cavaliers and become the first team to do so in the finals. During that series, LeBron James also became the first player to lead all players in a playoff series in points, assists, rebounds, steals, and blocks. There have been many great seasons in NBA history, some of which I've just listed, so can this upcoming season be the best ever? One of the reasons I think it could be is because of the level of competition and talent all around the league. For the first time in a long time, most teams will be contending for a playoff spot, with only a few not really having a chance. As well as this, the highly anticipated return of many players, most notably Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, and John Wall, will add to the excitement of the league. After the playoffs last season, many young players really showed out and will be looking to affirm their status as bona fide stars in the NBA, such as Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell. The MVP race will also be closer than it has been in recent times, with young star Luka Doncic, as well as Stephen Curry and Giannis looking to take home the trophy. New duos such as Booker and Paul, Durant and Irving, and Beal and Westbrook will be striving to show that they can carry their team deep into the playoffs, and other duos like Leonard and George and Antetokounmpo and Middleton still have to prove themselves in the playoffs. As well as this, teams such as the Heat, Suns, and Hawks will be looking forward to improving their young talent and making deep playoff runs. So what do you think? Do you believe that this will be the best season ever, or are there other seasons that you believe are better? Let me know in the comments, and remember to like and subscribe as it really helps me out.